Well, the war in Syria continues with no end in sight, even with a massive loss of civilian life. Recent attempts at a U.S.-Russian military cooperation against ISIS in Syria may be undermined as the U.S. and Russia support opposing sides. Joining me now is investigative journalist and national security policy analyst Gareth Porter. Gareth, you were scoffing at Morell's remarks, so I want to hear your comments on him.
Yeah, this is such a transparently obvious bid by Morell to be the CIA director under a Hillary Clinton administration that it is quite ludicrous, really. I mean, Ron Paul had it correct that this is an absurd approach, an absurd suggestion on the part of Mike Morell to have the U.S.-supported moderate opposition groups target the Iranians and the Russians when they can't even operate on their own, apart from al-Nusra Front, the al-Qaeda outfit, which is now rebranded and renamed in Syria. This is just obviously a political ploy by him, which is not thought through at all. It has no relationship to the real situation on the ground in Syria whatsoever.
And on the ground in Syria, things are only getting more complicated. Now, as you mentioned, we have the al-Nusra Front, which is repositioned. They say that they no longer want to be affiliated with al-Qaeda. They've changed their name to Jabhat al-Sham. What does that do to the ground game?
Well, first of all, of course, they're saying that they don't want to have anything to do with al-Qaeda. That is simply a sham. The reality is that al-Qaeda has not let go of the organization that they set up for Syria. In fact, Syria is more important than ever before to al-Qaeda's leadership, as al-Zawahiri has sent more top-level leaders to Syria over the last few years than ever before. They regard this as the place where al-Qaeda has a good chance to set up the first jihadist caliphate apart from what ISIS has set up. So this is very important, and so it's not true that they're going to be independent of al-Qaeda. What the importance of it is, I believe it's very clear that this is a way of trying to head off U.S. cooperation with Russia to bomb the al-Qaeda forces and their allies. And they have hopes that they can do this, they can accomplish this, because the kinds of bureaucratic interests that Mike Morell is speaking for here in that interview, the CIA's covert operations outfit and people in the Defense Department really are opposed to any cooperation with Russia for their own bureaucratic self-interest, their own political interest. And they will use this sham rebranding of an independent al-Qaeda outfit to try to shoot down the cooperation with Russia, and we'll see how it turns out.
Right, but the U.S. has al-Nusra designated as a terrorist organization. Certainly changing a name doesn't change that. Right,
and this really gets to the central point that people need to understand, which is that there are powerful forces in the U.S. government. They have been basically running the U.S. policy towards Syria for the most part for the last few years, who really look to al-Nusra Front, look to al-Qaeda's forces in Syria as the main force to put pressure on President al-Assad to get him to step down. That's been the fundamental focal point of U.S. strategy for the last 3 years, at least.
It certainly doesn't get any simpler on the ground there in Syria. Investigative reporter Gareth Porter, thank you so much.